Good morning and welcome to What's Up Ocala. I'm your host, Andrew Praber, and today we are going to answer for everyone the number one question that I get as a realtor every single day. How's the market doing? We're going to go ahead and talk about how the market is exactly in Marion County, all the stats, all the information. I am going to answer that question for you this morning, so stick around. Okay, so I went ahead and pulled the stats for this month. This is just for the beginning of May. I went ahead and pulled single family only. We don't have a lot of condos going along, but I really think that the single family is what everyone's looking at. And it can skew the numbers considerably when you start putting in farms where they have maybe, 20, 30, 40, 50 acres. So I really kind of wanted to stick more closer to the cookie cutter single family homes, not on a farm necessarily. I also didn't want to skew anything with vacant land. So this is what I chose to go by to give a real clear, quick view of the market as we are right now. Okay, so right now, this second, we are in what's called a balanced market. What? Yeah, so prior to this, we were in a buyer's market like crazy. Like the buyer could say whatever they wanted and the seller was like, I can't sell this house, so sure. Prior to that, closer to 2021, when we had, the COVID lockdown and all of that, sellers were pretty much saying whatever they wanted and buyers were fighting to give even more. It was absolutely a seller's market. It was absolutely craziness. So when you look at the extremes that we've had over the last, 15, 20 years, you can definitely see where a balanced market is actually not the norm. The normal is no longer the norm. So when you're looking at this, a lot of people are like, wow, it's really slow. But when you're coming off of the craziness that we had after the global pandemic here in Marion County, it's actually not a slow market. This is actually a very balanced market. In some cases, you're going to have incentives. You'll have sellers that will go ahead and accept, maybe less than what they were requesting for the house, maybe less what they were listing for. But right now, they're honestly getting right about what they're listing for. So if you're looking at a house and you're like, well, it's a buyer's market, I'm going to get this for $20,000 under ask, that is not the case. No, that is not happening. You may find some good deals here and there, but that's going to be individually based on the sellers, not so much about the market. So let's say they have maybe a divorce or a death in the family or something like that. Some kind of extreme circumstance has made it that they have to sell and they have to sell quickly. Okay, yeah, you might stumble across a phenomenal deal or where somebody will actually take much less for their home than what was advertised. But by and large, right now, what you see as far as what it's listed as is what you're basically going to get right now. It's a balanced market. Now, a balanced market is normally right about 6 to 7 months of inventory. So for everybody that's freaking out saying, oh my goodness, why are the builders still building? We have too many houses. They're all going to be sitting vacant. Oh my goodness. Actually, no, we have 5.61 months of inventory right now. So for the builders to be building houses is actually normal. Now, mind you, of course, we're having a lot of building happening, but that's more to do with actual Marion County. There's a large section in the Southwest that was already kind of set aside for building. It was a huge farm out there, huge farm, and everyone knew that it was going to end up being developed. It's sad because the farm was absolutely gorgeous and we love those rolling hills and the Granddaddy Oaks and stuff like that. But it was right sandwiched in between I-75 and College Road. So two of the busiest roadways in the entire county. and then not only that, there's also the Florida Greenway. So it's got like this lovely park preserve going through, and then Marion Oaks and 484 and all the development that's going on there with the industrial park that opened up down there. So the chances of Southwest not getting developed or that farm not getting developed were pretty much slim to none. But because it's also right smack in the middle of the most traffic, now that it's being developed and you're seeing these tractors and all of these things and these new roads coming and all this stuff, people are freaking out because they're like, oh my goodness, it's the end of Ocala as we know it. All the farms are gone. No, one of the largest farms closest to the city that was already set for being developed. In fact, one portion is an elementary school now. That is being developed. And it's so many acres that there's multiple developments that are being made out of it. Multiple. The Crossroads, oh my goodness, Greystone Hills. All of these are developments that came out of that farm area. And it's been slowly being developed for several years now. We're just kind of seeing the largest chunk that is closest to 66 and 200 and stuff. That's what's really getting developed right now. So before it was kind of on the tail end, like back end of it. And now it's actually more closer, and they're kind of finishing up the last of the development for that. But that Jeep and Hummer dealership or whatever that's right there, that was actually part of the farm as well. And a lot of people were freaking out when that went in too. But again, it's right on 200. It's on College Road, not far from I-75. Of course, it's going to be turned into commercial. So it's, I really would have loved to have kept it a horse farm, but Heathbrook and all of that, marketplace that's there and all of that was originally a farm too. So they're trying to they're actually planning stuff out so that certain areas that make the most sense to be developed are being developed so that we can keep all of the horse farms that are further out away from right in the city and so forth. We can keep those preserved. So if you're wanting more information on that, there's a fantastic organization called Horse Farms Forever. And they are working very hard to make sure that horse farms get to stay horse farms and can never be developed. So hopefully they will get to continue that because, of course, we absolutely love all of the beautiful horse farms and the rolling hills and everything that we have here, and we don't want to lose that. But we have to give a little to get a little. So not that I want this to be turned into, Orlando or something like that, but in the busiest part of the entire county, it doesn't necessarily make sense to have a horse farm that is not being utilized anymore, just being there falling apart, because I pass through that area every single day and it was falling apart. So, I mean, really, Ocala was trying to claim Florida was trying to claim that farm back anyway. So there's a lot of other stuff that's going on that is happening. And there is a lot of development that's happening in Florida. But also keep in mind, we didn't have any development for a dozen years. I mean, literally nothing was built. There were no permits pulled. Nothing was done for over 10 years. So over a decade, it's just stalled out. So now we're seeing all of this development plus more from the industrial that's coming in, like, the distribution centers and so forth, the World Equestrian Center. There are some major things that have changed since 2020 that have come into the area. But at the same time, we're basically catching up from what we should have been doing little by little over the course of 10 or 12 years. So it's kind of weird. I know. Not a huge fan of all of the changes. Again, that's a beautiful horse farm over there that I drove through every single day to and from work. And now I'm seeing all of the tractors and all of the work being done. And I'm just like, it just breaks my heart a little bit every day. But at the same time, I also know that it's also going to preserve a lot more farms outside of the city. So yeah, give a little to get a little. All right, moving on from that. Right now, balanced market, 5.61 months of inventory. So it is a little bit more inventory. We had about 2% more inventory over last month. So something to keep in mind. So the houses are sitting on the market a little bit longer, and that means that we're going to have a little bit more inventory. More houses are being built and so forth. So it's probably going to eke a little bit closer towards that 7%, but we still have a ways to go. Things are still selling. In fact, I've noticed that the market has picked up a little bit. So I think the interest rates definitely stalled things out for a while, but people have finally got the message it's not going to get down to 2 or 3% again. That was a crazy low interest rate. And if you didn't get it, you're not going to. Like, the things that had to happen in the economy to get a 2 or 3% interest rate on your home, I really and truly hope that things do not go like that again. But there are other things that you could do. Like, there's a lot of people that are buying down their rates, and the rate is not that high at this point. 6% is not astronomical. Now, would I rather have like 4 or 5%? Absolutely. But that also has a lot of impact on the entire economy nationwide. So it's not necessarily a great thing if you get a lower interest rate personally, because that means everybody else is, and that's because the economy is having issues. So yeah, it is what it is at this point. If you're interested in possibly figuring out how you can save money, consider doing a 15-year mortgage instead of a 30-year, because while it's a higher monthly payment, which nobody likes, it actually will end up saving you, probably $100,000, depending on how much of a house you're buying and all the stuff combined. It can save you an astronomical amount of money over the years. So maybe consider looking into that. Something else you can do is, like I mentioned, buying down points so that you can get more into the 4s and 5s instead of 6s or 7s. All right, now I've gotten off of those soapboxes. Let's continue on and talk about this market. Median house price. So that's, a lot of people say average house price, but median is actually a little bit more accurate. I've gotten into that before on past shows, but basically we try and use median. It's because it is more accurate. It's 278,000 right on the dot is what the median house price is. So if you are like, I'm not sure if this house is, like the average price for a house in Marion County, if it's around 278,000, yes, it is. That is what our houses cost. So you can get normally a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, double car garage, cookie cutter, quarter-acre house for 278,000. Actually, I know you can get them for actually a little bit less than that. So maybe 278 would be a few upgrades. Now, how long are the houses staying on the market? It was in prior months, with that interest rate spiking up so quickly, it was about 90 days. Now we're down to 54 days. In fact, we're down 10% from last month. So you can see there are definitely some indicators that we're in a healthy market, and it's getting healthier. So it's good. Now, what about the sold to list price? Sold to list price, again, is what I mentioned. Are you going to get some crazy steal of a deal, based off of it being a buyer's market? It's not a buyer's market. It is actually a very balanced market. So if the house is priced at X%, it is going to sell at 97.3% of that. So almost exactly what is listed for. That's what you're going to get. So if you're looking for some crazy good deal, you're going to be looking for a while. Basically, what you see is what you get, and hope that you get a really good negotiating agent, because they're going to need to negotiate their guts out in order to get you a good deal, or at least get down to 97% of the list price. All right. Median estimated value of the home's $305,000, which is down 1%, like just 1% from last month. Looking at the chart, and I'm going to, if you're interested at all, you can go onto my YouTube channel and you can actually see the charts and see how things have changed over the years. And for everyone that's like, wow, Marion County, that's really super low to have, the average cost of a house be at $278,000. Actually, that's really high for us, like really, really, really high for us. If you look over the course of, I have here from 2008 going all the way to the end of April 2025. So all during that time frame, if you look at the price of homes in our area, not only will you see that we're actually really high, but you can see consistently across the board, no matter what's going in the entire country and what's going on in the rest of Florida, we're always at a lower price. So a lot of people that are moving to Florida, into Marion County especially, they're like, I chose Marion County because your house prices, your cost of living expenses are so much lower than other parts of Florida. I knew I wanted to live in Florida, but I didn't want the hurricanes and I didn't want, those expensive prices on homes. So this is where I opted to be. Well, yeah, we are considerably lower, not only from the rest of Florida, but also from the entire United States. So if you look at it, with us being at like 278,000, the entire state is averaging out at 450,350. And then if you look at the entire country, the country nationwide 374,160. So yeah, considerably lower than the rest of them going into April. So really huge right there. Now, what about new listings, active listings, pending listings? Like what are we seeing? What's going on? What is going to happen? So what's really cool is new listings. Okay, somewhat that's wishful thinking sometimes. Sometimes you'll see like there's this house for 300,000, this house for 300,000, that house for 400,000. And it's like, okay, somebody did not understand the meaning of comps. But that house is just going to go on the expired. It's not going to go on the sold. It'll never touch the metrics of sold to listed because it's not going to sell. It's just way too astronomically out of the price range. People aren't going to even go and look at it. So yeah, you will have that. So new listings, definitely do take that information with a grain of salt. But when you compare the new listings to the pending listings, especially, you can kind of get a true idea of what's actually going to happen next with the market. You just got to think, almost all of the houses that are pending are going to be sold. So if they're pending at this price, this is how long it took and blah, 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 that's going to show what's going to happen and what's going to be closing. And it's basically going to show you the comparables for the other listings that come in. It's very interesting. So my crystal ball broke long ago. I don't even have one at this point. But you can actually see with all of the stats and stuff. And like I said, if you want to see all the graphs and the charts, if you're one of those, you can hop on over to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Great Expectations Realty. And you can see all this information for yourself. So active listings, median list price, $303,990. That's actually higher than last month. So they're starting to feel a little good about themselves. You got 1.4% over last month. The number of properties has also increased. We kind of saw those numbers earlier. So there are currently 4,231 single-family homes on the market, according to, as of the beginning of this month. Median days on the market, 71. Why is that different from the other? Well, a lot of those are not going to sell. Okay. Those that are overpriced or maybe aren't ready to be on the market, but are, those are the ones that, they are going to affect those numbers, 71 days, because all of the houses that were priced correctly, they've already sold. So a lot of those, they're just going to mess with the numbers a little bit. What else we got? Median square footage. There's a lot of people that love to do houses versus of square footage. So yes, it can be accurate, but honestly, it's more of a Zestimate. So Zillow uses essentially square footage. Zillow, for example, does not care if you have a quarter acre or 20 acres. It prices it the same. So you can see where it's not necessarily going to be accurate in all cases if you use just square footage, because there's a lot of things that you have to take into account on a property. I would highly recommend just get a CMA. Pretty much any real estate agent will be able to give you a CMA. You can ask for a CMA on our website, greatexpectationsrealty.com. Just put in your address and it'll pop over a CMA to you. And it's just kind of giving you an idea. A CMA is a comparative market analysis, and it's going to give you an idea of what the value of your home is. It's not an appraisal. It's a poor man's appraisal. No, it just takes the information from your specific house. It checks the comps in the area. It's just a real quick thing. But if your house, for example, has a pool, well, Zillow doesn't care if you have a pool or not. It does not account for that. So that's why real estate agents have a love-hate relationship with Zillow and their Zestimates, because it can mess with our numbers too. You know, we put on the market a beautiful house that has all these crazy upgrades and it's just absolutely amazing. It has a pool and it has this and it has that and it has this and it has that. But it's in an area that has a lot of new construction homes. For example, they don't have a fence, they don't have a pool, they don't have the upgrades, they don't have the other stuff. It's still, as estimate is still going to give it the same price. And when we list the house, it's, if you go to Zillow, it's going to show their estimated value. So it's like kind of, it drives me nuts. It absolutely drives me nuts because it's just taking into account the square footage. So that is not a true indicator. Okay. So for everybody that's like living and dying, it's this price per square foot. That's not actually accurate. What if it has a 4-car detached garage in the backyard? You know, there's just certain things and certain upgrades that are going to add value to a property. That's just the way it is. So square footage, not necessarily. All right. So the average size, median living square footage in a home here in Marion County is 1,683 square feet. Now, mind you, that's living square footage. That's not total. So that big garage that I was just talking about would not even equate into that. We're talking actual living square footage. So that's about the size of one of those 3-bedroom, 2-bath cookie cutter homes that I was talking about. What about the pending listings? Now, remember how I said those active listings, 303,000? Yeah, well, the pending listings, median list price, 282,500. That's right. It's right about where it is right now. Just because you list your house for more does not mean that you will necessarily get it. But again, a lot of those houses are way overpriced. They're never going to sell. So they'll sit in the active listings. All right. Number of properties that went pending. If you're thinking the market is slow, well, guess what? 991 single-family homes went pending in Marion County. That's almost exactly 20% more than the month before. So yeah, I do see a bit of a turnaround coming into the market. We're seeing those houses that were pending. They are actually, they've got 56 days on the market. So if you're checking that versus the 54, you'll see it did take an extra couple of days for those to be on the market, or at least the median. Median square footage, again, do not live and die by the median square footage, but it is 175 square feet. So that, again, I'm not a huge fan of that. It's a good, down and dirty indicator, but it's not the end all be all. Not when you have so much other information to glean through. All right. How much actually in dollars went pending for last month? $304,268,564. Things are selling. Things are definitely selling. When you're looking at the median list price being $282,000, you can definitely see that $282,000 is going to take a while to get up to $304 million. That's awesome. All right. Median living square footage. Again, 1,647. Okay, that's just what our houses look like here. So kind of interesting. Really interesting, actually, I think. Now, what about sold? Sold is the real indicator right there. This is sold listings are what the pending listings are going to need for their appraisal. So yeah, so the listings, they depend on the pending and the sold. The pending depend on the sold only. So just, yeah, it's weird, I know. All right. For median sold price, $278,000. A number of properties that sold in the last month, 822. Sold to list price, 97.31. Median days in market, 54. And total volume of homes sold, $246 million, 251,197. Okay, so that's a lot. $246 million in single family homes sold in Marion County. So when you ask, why are the builders still building? That's why. That's why. There is a lot of information that I can send to you if you like. Go ahead and send me an email, ger.expectmore@gmail.com. I will send you happily this whole report. I can send you them monthly if you want. But this whole report is talking about what's happening now and what's going to happen right here in Marion County. Again, I chose single family homes, but I love me some details. I love me some spreadsheets and some graphs. So I just figured I'd share some of it with you and answer that question once and for all. How's the market doing? All right. What about what's going on in Marion County? It is a very, 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 very busy weekend. So, of course, yesterday started the Rock the Country concert, and it's a 2-day concert, so it's happening all day today as well. So on into this afternoon and evening, there's going to be some rain, so be prepared for that. Should help cool you down, though, because it's going to be kind of hot out there. So, yeah, so be prepared for that. Then on Sunday, Sunday is kind of iffy. Tomorrow, it is Mother's Day. You can visit Fine Arts for Ocala, FAFO. Go ahead and visit Fine Arts for Ocala for more information and be kept up to date on what is happening with Symphony Under the Stars for Sunday. So, yeah, Sunday afternoon is going to be that maybe. But thankfully, there are so many other things going on in and around Ocala. So stick with me, folks. Stick with me. I will keep you informed, not just what's going on in the market, but what trends are happening in real estate in general, what stuff is going on in Ocala, of course, and what fun stuff you can do. You can definitely see that soon the kids are going to be getting out of school. So you got to have lots of stuff to keep them occupied and keep them out of trouble. I was always figuring with our kids, the more we kept them busy, the less trouble they could get into. I don't know if that actually came to pass or not, but that was the theory going forward. So I will make sure and share with all of you guys all of the fun stuff that your kids can do this summer, and you can keep them busy, and let me know if it worked out for you. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will catch you next time. Same place, same time. It's Saturday morning at 10 a.m. right here on WITG and on all of your favorite podcasting sources. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone. Bye.